Welcome back, America. One of the great voices I've depended upon over the last 2 years from Israel is Amit Segal. He has a brand new book coming out called A Call at 4 a.m., which is winging its way to me, and then I'll have an extended conversation with Amit about A Call at 4 a.m. You can pre-order it right now. It's been available in Hebrew, but it's been translated in English. Amit, welcome, and thank you for joining me on the day after the release of the 20 living hostages. I wanted to hear from someone as well connected as you the reaction of the Israeli government to Hamas screwing around with the remains of at least 20 of the deceased hostages. What are they saying?
No surprises, Hugh. No one thought that they would just give the bodies, which, by the way, I don't know any terrorist organization on earth that steals bodies of citizens and keeps them for years and years. That's their only asset, notorious asset left after they were forced to give the 20 live hostages. So they will try to prolong it. However, Israel, in coordination with the United States and President Trump, said that it would reduce the number of trucks of humanitarian aid and stop the Rafah crossing from operating till the last hostage, the last deceased hostage, is back in Israel. So what we know now is that tonight Israeli time and tomorrow evening Israeli time, more bodies of hostages would be brought back to Israel, thus reducing the number to, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 15 or 16. The assumption is that Hamas doesn't know about the whereabouts of give or take 8 or 9 bodies, so it will still have 7, 8 bodies to have monstrous negotiations about.
It is very ghoulish, Amit, but as anyone in the government said, part of the deal were the return of the remains of our very important war dead. We're going to go back to the lines that we withdrew from, or worse, resume combat unless you hurry up and get us the bodies. Has anyone made that threat yet?
Not yet. However, that was the whole point of insisting on releasing all the live hostages before we completing the withdrawal. The idea in the Biden administration, for instance, and even among the Israeli public and some ministers in the government was, let's make a full withdrawal and then we'll get the live hostages and we'll end the war in the regional borders prior to October 7th. The insistence of this government and the agreement of President Trump enabled the situation in which you are able to have credible threat. Otherwise, you couldn't have done that. So in a few days, if Hamas doesn't bring back all the bodies, I'm quite sure we'll hear this.
All right. Now, Amit, I'm not an Israeli. I'm not a Jew. I just observe politics from afar.
Nobody's
I
perfect.
think
It's okay.
Yeah, okay. I think Netanyahu is a statesman by any definition of a statesman. I understand he's as divisive in Israel as President Trump is in the United States, but what he pulled off after the disaster of 10/7 is nothing short of extraordinary. Has anybody changed their opinion of him? That's really a very precise question. I know a lot of people hate him and a lot of people love him, but the people in the middle, has anyone changed their opinion of him over the last 6 months?
I'll put it this. It's similar to the Trump derangement syndrome, but multiplied by 10, because Trump is here
Wow.
since 2017 and Netanyahu is here till since 1996. It's his 30th year around as prime minister or the head of the opposition, and is almost 40th year in politics. So people are fixed about it. It's their opinion is made of concrete, not it's not that elastic. However, following October 7th failure, one could see a dramatic decrease in the support for Prime Minister Netanyahu, and since then, you see a slowly yet steady increase. He's still not in the levels where he was prior to October 7th, but I have to say there hasn't been any polls since the signing of the deal and bringing back all the hostages because of the holidays in Israel. It's quite hard for pollsters to operate in these days where everyone is on vacation. So I think in a few days we'll know. My guts tell me, my kishke, like we say in Hebrew, that we are going to see improvement in Netanyahu's standing, and I would say that had the election been held today, I would say that the lion's share of chances is that Netanyahu would be the next prime minister.
Okay. Well, that, to me, I don't know who replaces a statesman because for the next 3 years, you've got to deal with Donald Trump and possibly thereafter Trump administration people. Is there anybody else of stature in Israel with anything resembling the relationship that the prime minister has with the president?
Well, President Trump insisted yesterday in the Knesset in his ecstatic speech. I've never seen anything like this in the Knesset. That his relationship is great with Netanyahu, but it can work with other. I mean, it touches the very fundamentals of the United States and Israel. So I think he would cooperate with other figures. I think Netanyahu's standing in Washington and his most loyal minister, Ron Dermer, enable him to navigate the situation way more efficiently than any other Israeli politician within this very specific Republican administration. I don't think that if someone else is elected, we'll see deterioration in the level of cooperation between Israel and the United States. But I think something really important happened yesterday, you know, there are no windows in the Knesset plenary due to security reasons. When the Knesset was built, it was 1 year prior to the Six-Day War, so the Knesset was only 1 mile from the Jordanian border. But the lack of windows is not the reason why there was no daylight yesterday between Israel and Washington, not an inch. And since I'm convinced that the war, part of the reasons for Hamas to initiate this war on October 7th was the huge daylight between President Biden and Israel. So I think it's crucial for the security of the entire Middle East that there is no daylight.
I agree with that. And by the way, I think Israel is the equal of any ally that the United States has, and it might be the most important one when it comes to both strength, the ability to use it, and will and purpose. Last question, Amit. Ron Dermer, I've only met him once. He's sort of a superstar, kind of a hidden Kissinger. Does he have stature in the general public of Israel such that he could ever run for office, or is he one of those guys like Kissinger who always be in the room and never actually elected to anything?
I met Ron Dermer in the Shiva after the funeral of his late mother this April, and his brother was the mayor of Miami Beach. He's the very well-known Republican. Their father was the mayor as well of Miami Beach. And Ron's brother told him, Daddy would be very proud of you. So everybody asked why. He said, because you became one of the most influential ministers in the history of Israel without getting a single vote. He was nominated on the basis of loyalty to the prime minister. I think Ron Dermer is the best minister Israel has ever had in its history. He is solely responsible for the coordination between Israel and Iran and the US prior to the attack on Iran's nuclear facilities. However, he is not very well known in Israel because his Hebrew is not as good as you might think.
So you're saying no at length, and I get it, but I just think he is your Kissinger and remarkable. I look forward to talking to you about the call at 4 a.m. as soon as I get it, Amit. Thank you for joining me. Follow Amit on X at Amit Segal. Get his newsletter. It's Noon in Israel for free at AmitSegal.net. Thank you, Amit.
Thank you so much, Hugh. And as we say in